Hello, welcome to Wednesday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport. My name is Daniel Coe. I'm delighted, as ever, to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, happy Wednesday.
Yeah, I actually don't know what I'm doing here tonight, Dan, to be perfectly honest with you. We've got so much content that I'm not required. So
Content coming out
just
of
roll the
ears.
VT and I'll go up the road and make a pasta. How's that sound?
Well, we do have a packed show. We're going to catch up with the guys for Record Sport who are out in Portugal, the Porto Rangers. I caught up with Record Sport's Ryan McDonald after he heard from Martin O'Neill ahead of Celtic versus Utrecht. And we will also hear from the Celtic boss as well. But Keith, early on today, you caught up with Barry Ferguson.
I did indeed. And it was quite interesting. In fact, do you know what? The best thing to do is just play it, Dan, and then let's discuss it, because I think this is a theme that probably started in our show last night about my fears for where this season might head after all the drama and excitement and thrills and spills. I think there's a danger of it starting to lurch down a sort of sinister alleyway between now and May, and Barry touches on that in here, and I think, well, why don't we just go with it and let's see where we go after that.
Let's hear what the Rangers legend had to say.
Barry, thanks for joining us in Hotline Live. This season just goes from the sublime to the ridiculous, doesn't it? Another incredible weekend in terms of the drama, the whole thing. What do you think? Where is the weekend left this league race? Obviously, Rangers have leapfrogged Celtic, the drama through at Tynecastle. Has your attitude changed to anything?
No, it's been the same that I said to you in my column about, what was that, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Aye, it's doable.
It was doable, and look, I'm not getting carried away. Look, it was a brilliant result for Rangers in terms of getting the 3 points, but also the game that was going on at Tynecastle, that was the perfect result for Rangers. A draw, in my mind.
The draw, yeah?
Yeah, the draw was the perfect result. So, yeah, listen, there's still a lot of football to be played, but Rangers, they're bang in it. But so is Hearts and so is Celtic. Obviously, I'm not getting carried away thinking, Rangers are going to do this and that. Listen, they've done brilliantly to get into second place coming up to the end of January, but there's still a lot of football to be played. There's still days open in the transfer window as well, and I believe that Rangers will still try and bring in 1 or 2 players to fire up the squad a bit. So, yeah, I'm not getting overexcited, but I'm just excited that at least my former club is right back in a title
they're
race.
involved in something. But at the start of the season, this is a title race they've got no right to be involved in, to be perfectly honest, Barry.
Well, if you says to me after the first couple of months of the season, I'd have looked at you in a strange way, but I look at you in a strange way quite a lot, don't I? But
most people do.
Aye, and I don't blame them. But no, listen, the job that Danny and the staff have done since he's come in, and listen, you've got to remember the players as well, because this group of players come in for a lot of criticism. So fair play to them. They've stood up to the challenge. And listen, that's 8 games. 8 wins, sorry, should I say, in a row. And I think, 5 clean sheets in that 8 games?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing
5
as well.
6.
See, if you don't concede goals, you've got a lot better chance of winning games of football, that's for sure.
Right, but see, before we move, because I want to talk to you about the sort of transfer stuff that's flying around about Rangers just now. What have you made of the aftermath of the Tynecastle game? Appeals against the trusty red cards. Do you know, my concern is that I think we've been here before in Scottish football, and when it starts to get to the tickly bit, accusations start flying around, conspiracy theories, and I think it drags us into an unhealthy argument. Is there a concern for you with anything there, or is this just part of the humbly-bubbly of the game?
You're asking my opinion on the red card, the red card that
and everything that's followed. I
think it's a red card.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, listen, I'm minded to agree. I don't understand.
And I'm not saying that from a Rangers point of view. I'm just being brutally honest. I never watched the game.
From a football perspective.
I was at the Rangers game watching Rangers against Dundee, but when I seen the highlights, I can see why it's a red card.
I couldn't see why it was a yellow card. That was the thing that confused me, and I think that's what has caused this kind of drama, psychodrama around the whole thing is that the referee initially pulls out a yellow. If he initially pulls out a red, I don't know if we're still talking about it 4 days later.
You know what? You've took the words out of my mouth. See if he initially pulls out a red, I don't think you would be having this conversation.
I thought he bottled it, was my view on it. I thought it was a decision he didn't want to make.
And I've looked at it a few times. I know the Celtic players, after the contact happens with Trusty and the Hearts forward, and I know the Celtic players get back in, but see if that's in full flow, I don't think they're getting back in.
No, it's too much of a gap.
Yeah, I think he's taking a touch towards goal and he's going to have a strike at goal. So I can see why. I can see why it's a red card.
Yeah, I just don't like. You know what I'm saying? Rangers have been guilty of it over the past wee while. Statements, letters to the SFA, naming this one and that one, and I would hate for all the excitement and drama we've had this season. I would hate to start going down that rabbit hole between now and May. Do you know what I mean? I think that
you want to stay clear of that. Listen, what I'm more excited about and what I want to listen to and what I want to watch is 3 teams going head to head for this league title. The
results and performances.
That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about refereeing decisions and VAR decisions and there's conspiracies against clubs and other people. I just want to see 3 teams going hammer and tong at each other and see who comes out the best come the middle of May. That's what I want to see.
In terms of that, Barry, I've been saying for a while, I don't know if you agree, I still think there's so much on the next few days before the transfer window shuts. I strongly believe that the whatever one of the 3 it is that comes out of the window significantly stronger than they were going in, I think they've got the best chance. And to that end, there's a lot flying around about Rangers. I mean, obviously, Ryan Nadiri from Hansa Rostock, you usually do your research into stuff like this. 3rd tier of German football, 22-year-old, is he the guy that you want to hang your hat in going into the final stretch of a title fight like this?
Well, I've done, as you says, I've done a bit of research. I've watched a bit of him, and he's highly regarded. I know he's in the 3rd tier of German football, but look, you know who's the manager at Rangers? It's a German. It's Danny Rowe. Yeah. So obviously he's got his ear to the ground. He knows people. He knows people that's been obviously watching him. So if Rangers are willing to splash out this kind of money, what is it, 2.6 million, 2.8 million pound? Well, I'll put my trust in the manager.
Looks like Hansa Rostock might be trying to push for a wee bit more. It looks like the usual kind of manoeuvring, manipulating towards the end of a window. I think they were going to sell at a certain price. The price just might be going up by the day just now. That's how it works.
Listen, we know what transfers are like, but do you know what? I think it'd be ideal for Rangers to get another forward, and I think it would bring a bit of freshness up top and take a bit off Chermiti and Miovski. It looks to me if Danny is, well, I call him Danny Danilo, it looks to me if he's going to be moving on. It looked like that when he scored his goal against Dundee. There wasn't much of a celebration, was there? But listen, I think Rangers have been really active. They've been proactive in this market. I think the 3 players that are brought in, obviously we've seen 2 of them play on Sunday against Dundee. I was actually speaking to Romans, was it before the game or after the game? Can't exactly remember, but he's going to be back in the next week and a half. So, listen, I like the business they've done. They're 3 really good players, and don't be surprised if you see another 1 or 2 come in.
Well, if they can do that, Barry, I personally think the 3, I don't know if you agree, the 3 that are in just now are upgrades. So they've upgraded 3 of the 10 outfield positions. If they can upgrade another 2, that means upgrading 5 in the January transfer market. I think that would put Rangers in a very good place for the second half.
See with the business they've done, I look at the 3 players that they brought in. I think the 3 would enhance the starting 11. And I think that's key to it. You're not just bringing in players for the sake of it or bringing them
for numbers.
In for the numbers. You're bringing in players who you believe can go into that starting 11. Now, will they go straight in? They need to fight, but if they do get in, I believe they're the type of players that could stay in because of their qualities.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Rangers trying to improve on quality, but there have been over the last 24 hours suggestion that Monaco bid in the region of £10 million for Gassama. Then earlier today, stuff started coming out from Turkey, or late last night, sorry, about a £13 million offer there or thereabouts for Chermiti from Fenerbahce. Links to some clubs in Germany. I think a couple of clubs in Germany supposed to be sniffing around Manny Fernandes, including Dortmund and Leverkusen, I think. And also Oliver Antman, supposed interest from Feyenoord. First of all, talk me through Gassama and Chermiti. The word from Rangers appears to be that they've tossed these offers out, don't want to discuss. It's a lot of money, Barry. 23 million quid for a couple of guys that are only 6 minutes in the door.
It is a lot of money, but I don't think their valuation will go down from now until the summer. So that's why I believe that Rangers will keep their players. Rangers won't want to do business. I firmly believe that, because they're in a title race. You need a squad. These guys have done, in terms of Gassama, we've spoken about him plenty of times in the column. I think he's a difference maker in the final third. Consistency-wise, you want a bit more for him, but there's something there. There's definitely a player there. So if you want to do business, you wait till the summer, because at this moment in time, you're in a title fight and you've got a chance. I don't know, is it Stranraer or Queen's Park yet? I don't think that's come out yet. You've got a chance to get into quarter-final of Scottish Cup. Keep what you've got and add quality to the squad, and that's what I believe that Rangers will do. But then I think they'll look to the summer. If these offers will still be about, then they may look to do business.
Mm-hmm. It's big numbers. It is big numbers.
It is big numbers. You're saying to me, Gassama, what was he bought for? Two and a half million. From Sheffield Wednesday, the numbers are saying £10 million. I don't think Rangers will look to do business until the summer. Unless it's an absolute ridiculous offer.
Yeah.
I
think Andrew Kavanagh's made his intentions clear, isn't he? He's going to throw the kitchen sink at this. I think they could be accused of selling off a title if they were to try and cash in on people right now. However, does a different rule apply to? I'm guessing Fernandes would be in that bracket as well with you. But if somebody comes in, if Feyenoord were to come in and offer Rangers their money back on Antman, is that a deal you would do?
Well, that's a bit different, because Antman's been, you've not seen him much. He's not really been involved. So, look, I think squad players who maybe are struggling to get in the 18, and Antman has at times struggled to get in the 18. I know he's had a wee injury there. But if you're talking about players leaving Rangers and players that are playing, Fernandes is playing, and I've got to be honest with you, I think each game, this big guy is getting better and better. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I've got my heart in my mouth.
That's a lot of work to do on him still.
Yeah, but listen, he's a work in progress, and fair play to him. I think he's been excellent. In the opposition box, he's a real threat. But again, that's a player that you buy and you look to work with and you look to bring on, and you can see it now where he's getting games, his confidence is starting to build. So he's another one in the same bracket as Chermiti and Gassama. No, you don't look to do it until the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers will want to. On you go.
Well, you keep the three of them, but if somebody comes and offers you your money back and Antman, that's a deal that Rangers might be interested in doing. Yeah,
that's a possibility. But guys that are in about the starting 11, no chance. Absolute no chance.
Yep. Brilliant, Barry. Listen, thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in the studio next week in Hotline Live, and we'll catch up then.
Good stuff. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, man.
Keith, I need to get this off my chest really quickly, right? You can see on your screen, Craigie says, can he sell Gassama, Chermiti Fernandes, too late in the window? But this one, Sean says, did Thelwell end up at Fenerbahce? I must have missed that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
I see if someone is really offering 13 million for Youssef Chermiti, and look, no harm to him, and he's shown that he's a decent player, but 13 million? I mean, come on. That's just...
Maybe Big Kev's thinking, well, that's 2 million less than I paid when I was at Everton for him, so...
No, everyone's got their price. That's mad. If that's a genuine...
What's interesting, I'm always wary of the stuff that comes out of Turkey. I'm just wary of it. And I noticed that there was a subsequent report today with one journalist, Turkish journalist, saying, well, Fenerbahce have contacted me to say they're not interested. They've been offered them by an agent, but they're not interested. Let's see if anything crystallises there.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of what Rangers believe they've got in Chermiti, is they've bought just a massive big bag of potential. I think that Rangers would have to be the first to acknowledge. I don't think he's done anywhere near enough to have gone in a very short space of time from an 8 million, potentially £10 million transfer to a 13. I don't think he's put that much added value. But that said, watch him. I do see there is plenty of growth to be had there. His link-up play, his physicality, there's something in there. I'm just not convinced he's a goal scorer, and I think that the clubs around Europe are only going to be convinced to pay top dollar or premium prices for a guy that's prolific. So I don't know. I don't know, but listen, I think where Rangers have been clever in this one is that when you look at the age profile of the guys that have been brought in, that if they can get them up and running, get their careers up and running, there's somebody because people in other countries have got money to burn, and it becomes they don't see, like, Everton paid £15 million for Chermiti in the first place, didn't they? So that's quite big by Everton's terms, but it's still a drop in the ocean, Premier League money. So you could take a punt. That's a punt. Where the Rangers signing of Chermiti was completely different from that is that Scottish clubs are in no position to take punts for £8 to £10 million on players.
Exactly.
Especially players that have only got 2 career goals to their name. Who knows, Dan? Who knows? But I do think that Barry Ferguson's got a point there. Whatever somebody might be willing to pay in January for 2 players who are young with lots of potential, with lots of growth, I don't think you're looking at the optimum level of bid in January. I think if they both continue to show up reasonably well between now and the end of the season, if they can win something together, if they can find a level of consistency, if Chermiti chips in with more regular goals, then maybe come the summer, Rangers can turn them around really quickly and make a healthy profit on them.
No, I get that.
Case,
I think that's a fair point.
In which case, where do you want your statue, Kevin Thelwell?
We'll get him on the show. I just
doubt that. I think that ship's sailed down.
I don't think that ship's gone. I just thought 13 million was a bit mad. But going back to
it is mad, and it's mad, especially, and I think where it makes it feel even more surreal is that this is Rangers we're talking about, and Rangers have been struggling to make ends meet for such a long period. I'm starving for such a long period of time that it just seems bizarre. I mean, under any other set of circumstances, at any point over the last decade or more, had somebody come to Rangers in the space of 24 hours and 2 bids had come in for that amount of money, Rangers are biting arms off and legs and anything else they can get their teeth into to bring in that kind of money. I think what is weird and what will take a bit of getting used to, and even for Rangers supporters right now, is getting to realise and understand that they actually do have genuinely wealthy owners now. This isn't the bowling club sort of organisation, which it had been for so long, just to kind of cobble through really stressful times. These are professional people with long-term financial and strategic aims. And so Rangers aren't the same club as Rangers were 12 months ago. And I wait to see what sort of comments that gets. Rangers aren't the same club. In terms of a financial business structure, they're at a different level from where they were 12 months ago.
Yeah,
and that's why, the story that we broke on here about the 49ers American takeover, it was why we said at the time, and I said at the time, this is potentially game-changing stuff. And now you're seeing that manifest. If Rangers get themselves into this position, they're actually involved in a potential league title race, despite themselves, despite Russell Martin, despite a really bad start to the season. But that's on the pitch. Off the pitch, the transformation is really quite staggering in a short space of time, that Rangers can take a longer term approach to how they want their business model to run.
Yeah.
As I said to you, I mean, look what happened when Everton came knocking with £11 million for Nathan Patterson. They couldn't give out the club quick enough.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't sensible thinking, because James Tavernier had probably peaked at that point. If you're running it properly, you say, you cash in James Tavernier when he's the top goal scorer in the Europa League, and you tell Nathan Patterson, we're going to give you the opportunity that Kieran Tierney got at Celtic. And then you might have sold Nathan Patterson for double what they sold him for. So this is just a smarter way of running the business. And it remains to be seen, because we're only still in the short grass here where Rangers are concerned, and Andrew Kavanagh. It remains to be seen in the bigger picture over a period of time how it rolls out. But right now, I think there's a lot of reason for Rangers fans to be very comforted and very excited about where it's all heading under the Americans.
You also, Keith, spoke to Barry about the kind of conspiracy theories and all the moaning about the trusty red card. It was put to Martin O'Neill at his press conference today, a similar line of questioning, and I think we can hear from the interim Celtic manager now. Shall we have a listen?
Yeah.
Hi, Mark. Can I just ask you first of all about your reaction to the trustee appeal being rejected, and what your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, just disappointed, really. I thought that the referee's decision in the first place was a yellow card. I didn't think it was clear and obvious. But obviously, and it was nice to get backings from a lot of referees who have refereed a lot of big matches when they were interviewed afterwards. But anyway, and it is what it is.
Also, I noticed the club statement said Celtic would be having further discussions with the SFA. I just wondered to what end that would be.
I didn't know about that. Sorry, I wasn't aware.
Was a reference there to other decisions?
No, I don't know a thing about that. What do you think it was?
I'm not sure. I just read it said some other decisions, and I was like, well, I wonder what they are.
I wonder what that would be.
So maybe it points to the kind of discontent with refereeing in general in Scotland. I don't know.
Well, you make up your own mind there about that one, It's never been a problem before, has it really? I've never had a problem with it in my first spell away here 25 years ago. Never had a problem at all. I just expected no decisions to come our way. It's interesting now where I see managers and pundits all talking about, I was surprised to see Celtic getting a red card, which did make me laugh, because I think our disciplinary record is actually very good. And it's a lot better since I left the club.
So things don't change, is that what you're saying, basically?
Maybe it's me. It's, I have a lot of paranoia about me, but I'm seeing a shrink at the moment, so I'm perfectly all right. Well, I'm perfectly all right. He's not. I'm talking a great load of balderdash.
Yeah, no further questions, Your Honour.
Brilliant.
Look, Martin is brilliant, Keith, isn't he? He's
a smiling assassin, though, isn't it? I mean,
Aye.
he's saying it with a smile on his face, and he's playing the old, I'm just an old guy card. But there is a serious message which will connect with some Celtic fans. That there's Martin O'Neill. He came in, he knew they were all out against us in the first instance. So it is a little bit like I've been talking about for the last 2 nights now. I don't want us to get sucked into this as a national sport. I don't want us to be, looking for, red cards under the bed, or whatever the expression would be in this country, because I think it's unhealthy. But Martin O'Neill's just stoking the fire. I don't take any great offence at that, but I do think there'll be Celtic fans nodding in agreement, saying, "See, Aye. But I think part of the problem is that back then, Martin O'Neill came to confront a Rangers side which were winning everything out the park. They had their years of dominance, the 9 in a row years and all this.
Spent a fortune.
And what I would say is that during those periods of prolonged dominance, one team, the team that's on the losing end, they're not going to put their hands up and say, do you know what, guys, it's all our fault. Blame us. They're going to find a scapegoat. They're going to find a reason. They're going to say it's the referees. Everybody's out to get us. And that kind of leads to a heightened sense of paranoia among supporters who are only too happy to go along with that. Because it's easier to blame someone else than blame the people that are in charge of making the decisions. Celtic did that back then. Rangers have been doing it throughout Celtic's period of domestic dominance. And that's what happens. When you're picking up second prizes in this environment, you never look that close at yourself and say, what am I doing wrong here? You try and point a finger of blame at everybody else. Yeah. And that does appeal to a certain section of your own supporters who you know will be only too happy to pick that up and run with it. And I just don't think it's healthy. It's not healthy. Everybody knows it's not healthy. And, you know, Derek McInnes is doing his little bit as well, a bit of needle talking about, yeah, well, you know, Celtic never get red cards. And so everybody's at it. And I don't mind that. I worry about the consequences. I worry about when Scottish football buys into all this. Sometimes there are really ugly ramifications. And I don't want that because this has been a really memorable campaign. It's only going to get better in terms of the drama and the twists and the turns still to come. We don't really need to get ourselves into a state where, you know, we see the sort of worst side of people. And, you know, whether it's conspiracies, paranoia, whatever word you want to use for it, it can lead to extreme actions. And we've seen that, and it's not nice. So I don't mind a bit of to and fro, and I don't mind a wee bit of mind games. But if we can just leave the batshit stuff to one side, that'd be nice. Thanks.
In the comments, friend of the show, Kyle Gunn says, don't know who I enjoy listening to more, Martin O'Neill or Mick Gannon. I think if we can get the two of them together, that would be very good. But we've got a lot of Celtic fans, Keith, asking about transfers. Look, this earlier on today, I caught up with Record Sports' Ryan McDonald. He was at the press conference today with a bit of an in-depth chat about the last few days for Celtic in the transfer window. Maybe it's best just to have a listen to that and see where we go.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's check it out. Joined now on Hotline Live by Record Sports' Ryan McDonald. Ryan, you were with Martin O'Neill a little bit earlier on. How was he today?
Yeah, he seemed in good spirits. He's about to take charge of his first European game at Celtic Park since, I think, December 2004. And can you remember the team he was up against that day? A wee bit of trivia for you.
November 2004. Was it Bayern Munich?
Nope, it was AC Milan.
Ah, okay, got you.
So his first European game under the lights at Park Kid since then. So, I think he was feeling a wee bit nostalgic, looking forward to that. But obviously, I had some more pressing issues to deal with. One of the kind of things at the forefront of every Celtic supporter's mind at the minute is transfers. And it's pretty much as you were, hopeful of getting deals done. Between now and February the 2nd, which is deadline day. But I don't believe that anything's imminent at the minute. Martin O'Neill said that he's not sure if he'll have anything by Sunday's game at home to Falkirk. Obviously, then I think deadline day is Tuesday. So
I think it's Monday night.
Is it? So there's going to be I think there'll be a lot of wheeling and dealing in the final days and hours of the window, judging by Martin O'Neill's comments today. So yeah, it's pretty much as you were. There's nothing for fans to get excited about in the minute. I think he's been pressed again on how many players he would like to get through the door. He's a master at kind of diverting questions and swerving them. So he wasn't too committal on that, but you'd imagine they'd be looking for at least 3 new faces to come in. I think the obvious positions are a centre-back, a winger, and clearly a striker. Yeah. In my mind, I think they also need a midfielder as well. I think they need somebody in the ilk of Rio Hatate. I don't feel they've got that dynamism in midfield. You know, I think Callum McGregor's getting older. Ben Nygren, he's brilliant to finding pockets of spaces, but for me, I don't think he's quite got the pace or the legs or the energy. And that's the same with Arnie Engels as well. this is meant to be a big season for Arnie Engels, but I don't quite feel that he's lived up to his potential. And the jury's still out in that one. So I think if Celtic had, and Neil Hatate, he's obviously suspended for Thursday night's game against Utrecht. But I think Neil Hatate, he hasn't looked himself for at least 18 months now. I think he's looked a shadow of the player that first burst onto the scene under Ange Postecoglou. I think perhaps he's past his sell-by date now. I think you're looking at the final months of Neil Hatate's Celtic career. So if they could get a player like that, when Neil Hatate was on form, dynamic, able to, produce a pass out of nothing, a goal out of nothing, that's, I think, what Celtic are really lacking at the minute in midfield. So yeah, I think, to be honest, there's Celtic need to strengthen across all areas, and time is running out for them to do it.
The big name, Ryan, that's been floated on Record Sport Online in the last 24 hours or so is Bodo Glimt striker Kasper Hoga. I mean, I know, or I think rather, Martin O'Neill, that he didn't commit on any particular names today, did he?
No.
But is that something that just you personally, your gut feeling, is that a deal that you think Celtic could get done before Monday's deadline?
It all comes down to whether they're willing to, I wouldn't even say push the boat out. They've not spent a penny in the January window. Looking at 2 loan signings that have come in so far. So it's whether they're willing to sanction a big money move for any player. I said it even before the window opened that I felt that Celtic were going to be shopping in the loan market. And I think with Martin O'Neill, the uncertainty over who's going to become the next manager beyond the summer, I think you're looking at 95% chance that Martin O'Neill won't be staying on. I think he's admitted that himself. He's 73 and he's putting all his energy into between now and May. But I think Celtic are going to have to look long term in the summer. So I think at the minute Celtic's strategy is to bring in players, stopgap signings basically, who will be able to do a job between now and the summer, and then the summer is going to be the big rebuild. So for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be, let's say there's 3 signings coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if at least 2 of them are going to be loan signings. But going back to the question you asked, Bodo Glimt, he's got a good pedigree. He's scored obviously goals in the Champions League. He scored 2 against Man City as well, didn't he? So I think he's a signing that would excite the Celtic fans for sure. And as I say, he comes with he become a good CV and good pedigree, but it all comes down to money and whether Celtic are willing to sanction it or not. And we don't know the answer to that.
You make a point there, obviously, about Celtic will more than likely have a new permanent manager in the summer. And people say, oh, well, what if they sign a big player now for big money in this window and the new manager comes in and says, I don't fancy him? I don't really get that logic, because if Celtic were to sign, say, Kasper Hoga for 7 million, he's still a quality player. He's still a quality striker. I mean, any manager that comes in, you've just been given a new striker. I just don't get why Celtic at the moment have spent more money appealing trustees' red card than they have on transfers. It's mad.
Yeah, I know when you put it like that. Yeah, I think for a striker, if you're spending money on a striker and he delivers and he scores goals, then I think it's a safe bet for the next manager, because the next manager is going to want as many goal scorers as he possibly can in the squad. Whereas maybe if you spend money on a central defender or a winger or a central midfielder, mate, I think it's slightly different. It might not be his cup of tea, might not be fit into the system he wants to play. But I think goal scoring strikers come at a premium, and it just comes down to whether Celtic are willing to spend the money. And as I say, I don't think you can even say it's pushing the boat out. I think it's just doing their job and getting a striker in a year after Kyogo's left.
Yeah.
Obviously Tomasz Chavanka has come in, and he made a decent impact at the weekend. He played a part in Yang's goal, but he's had a difficult couple of seasons as well, and I think Martin O'Neill's even admitted that he doesn't see him as the immediate answer to all of Celtic's problems. So what Celtic need is somebody who is ready to come in and hit the ground running and be the answer to the goal scoring problems. Because don't get me wrong, I mean, Celtic are going to create a bundle of opportunities every game. They just need somebody to stick it in the back of the net, which has been a big problem this season. I don't think the problem's been creating goals, it's just been scoring them. So if they can find that somebody with that killer touch, that killer instinct up front, then they're right back into this title race. But if they don't find a new goal scoring striker, then I think they're going to be on to plums this season.
And obviously the game tomorrow night against Utrecht, if Celtic win, they make it into the playoff rounds of the Europa League. On the Record Celtic podcast this week, Michael Gannon said if it was up to him, he'd play the reserves. He says he wants to Celtic should just put the Europa League in the bin. How do you see it?
Yeah, Mick and I kind of differ on that one. I think I can see the logic, because I think if Celtic do qualify, and it's 2 extra games at a minimum, I think the away game in the second leg of the knockouts would be 3 days before the trip to Ibrox.
Yep. So
clearly, that's a bit of an issue. But if you look back I know it was 20 odd years ago, but if you look back in the run that Martin O'Neill's team went on in 2003, I'm pretty sure they had was it Boa Vista? It might have been Boa Vista away, and Henrik Larsson scored that goal to put them into the final, and then they had Ibrox 3 days later, and they still got through. So the difference is with this squad is this squad's running in fumes. I'm not convinced that they've got the strength and depth to be able to compete across all 3 fronts. Scottish Cup, the Premiership, and the Europa League. So that's the issue. But if Celtic can get bodies through the door, which Martin O'Neill continually tells us that he's hopeful will happen, then yeah, I think Celtic they've got a duty to progress in Europe. Celtic have been mediocre in Europe for so many years now. And at the start of the season, before they crashed out of the Champions League, you had fans saying that, I wouldn't mind the crack at the Europa League after watching Rangers, but obviously the Europa League campaign this season hasn't quite gone to plan. But as I keep saying, if Celtic can get quality in the door, then Martin O'Neill, there's just something special with Martin O'Neill in European nights. He's got that aura, he's got that history, he's got that legacy. And if Celtic can get past Utrecht on Thursday, perhaps get a decent draw in the knockouts and get through there, then who knows what can happen. Rangers obviously reached the Europa League final in 2022, and I don't really think there's much for Celtic to fear in terms of the teams that are left in the competition. There's not really any massive kind of big guns that are left. So yeah, I think for me, I think you've got to put out the strongest team. You've got to do your best to compete and get into that knockout stage. As I say, Celtic need to really improve their coefficient ranking as well. And I know obviously it might not be immediate priority to fans, but just in terms of the stature as well, and announcing themselves on the European stage, and building rebuilding their reputation in Europe. I think it's an important thing for Celtic to do.
Ryan, it is an absolute pleasure having you on the Hotline Live as always. Thanks so much. I'm sure I'll be pestering you to get you back on soon.
That's all right, mate.
Cheers, Ryan. Look, a couple of comments, Keith and Celtic, if that's okay. In the comments, Green Machine says, if the board had ambition for Europe, then Celtic would not be in this mess. Sean says, no faith in the Celtic board at all. Their only hope is getting offered a couple of decent loan guys in the last few days. Chris is a bit more confident. He says, Raksaki and Mazwanisi to be in Lennoxtown by Sunday. Wales should go the other way. Mark points out which player is going to commit himself for any period, not knowing who the manager will be in May. And Andrew says...
I don't think that's a factor, Mark. Listen, if Celtic come calling, football players are perfectly used to change of management. You'd be going in with your eyes wide open. Yep, there's probably going to be a change of manager in the summer. But I agree with you in what you were saying about Kasper Holger. If I'm a manager, no matter what manager I am and what my style of play is, I want to take over a squad with as much quality in it as I can possibly inherit.
Exactly.
And I don't think there's many managers across Europe that would make an assessment that Kasper Holger wouldn't increase the level of quality in that Celtic squad right now. I just don't see that argument as being valid at all. Therefore, if I'm the Celtic board and I'm competing against Norwich, by the way, Norwich, I need to get this. I need to get that across the line. There's no excuse for not doing it.
Anne in the comments simply says, got to wonder what's going on at Celtic. And that's where I find myself. I just can't fathom 28th of January, 2 loan signings and Norwich seemingly outbidding Celtic for a striker.
Well, the latest this afternoon is that Norwich are certainly in detailed discussions with Bodo Glimt. I think they've offered up a package in the region of €8 million. That's not beyond Celtic to match it and better it. And if you're a player, and I know that I know that England is where it's at in terms of the Premier League, and if you can get down there. But Celtic has always been a launch pad, a springboard, and a player of his quality with the chance to play European football, big stage, big stadium, win trophies. I think it's an easy sell. I really do.
The thing is, I get what you're saying about England, but this is Norwich in a Championship relegation battle. I mean, come on.
Oh, listen, I completely.
I know you agree, obviously.
For me, it's an indicator of where other levels of ambition, and that's what I keep coming back to, Dan. That my fear has been there has been no level of ambition obvious to anyone. It's been quite the contrary. Celtic have been in a process of downgrading for 3 windows now. As much as it would be brilliant for the Celtic supporters to be left there thinking, oh, if this comes through, if this comes good, brilliant. What an absolute... But it doesn't get anybody off the hook in terms of the Celtic board. Mm-hmm. But it would be a great bit of business to do just right to the death, and it might cheer people up for a bit.
Absolutely. I mean,
and if you are a prospective new manager, I think you'd be quietly delighted saying, well, that's good. That's one problem that doesn't need solved in the summer.
Exactly. Aye.
But do I think that Celtic are going to do that, or do I think that it is more likely? I think that they are operating in a market right now where if they could get, say Norwich weren't in the picture here, they might be able to get a deal together to say, right, we'll take him on loan with an obligation or an option to buy in the summer, and we'll give you your €10 million then. But why would Bodo Glimt do that deal if somebody's prepared to give them €8 million up front now?
What would be in it for them?
And it's, I'm afraid it's a sort of systemic failing now at Celtic Park. I don't know whether it's a lack of acumen, a lack of ambition, a lack of aggression in the transfer market. But, whatever they do, and I keep coming back to whatever they do now, they might pull something incredible out of the hat, but they're not going to be forgiven, because this is rank amateurism, which has brought Celtic to this point, where we are now. Did you say what we are? 28th of Jan, and this is Wednesday. You've got a Europa League tie to navigate Thursday. You've then got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're not in position by Sunday to have people nailed down, and even if it is, going to Motherwell and getting in their top goal scorer, Masmanisi, who's been superb, Celtic fans, that'll make them feel a bit better.
Yeah,
there is no reason why that deal can't be done. It just all looks to me as if it's a board that has got its hair on fire, has got no strategy. There's been no forward planning. That's obvious, because you can't claim to have forward planning when you're this late on in this window with so much at stake. So it is now a matter of running about, desperately trying to pluck something from somewhere. But that's not good enough. Even if by hook or by crook they make a great signing, it still doesn't look or feel like a football club that's being run as it should be for one of that size. And that's what the Celtic fans are finding so unforgivable at this point. And you cannot blame them for it.
Mark says rank amateurism, if only it was that good. And singing the blues makes possibly the worst indictment on Celtic that you can give. If Rangers wanted Hogarth, he'd probably be signed by now. And I can't disagree with that. That's probably true. We're going
a lot of money.
Aye,
Even though Rangers are spending big, it's a lot of money. But I don't think there's any doubt in the quality of that player.
Aye. Look, we went round the houses a wee bit, but I also caught up with Record Sports' Andy Newport and Scott McDermott today. They're over in Portugal ahead of Porto against Rangers. Let's listen to what they had to say. Joined on the hotline live now, all the way from Portugal, by Scott McDermott and Andy Newport. Guys, how's it going?
Good, Dan. Wet Portugal, I might add.
Like we have brought the weather with us from Glasgow. It has been torrential for the last 24 hours that we've been here, so this is a real lull in the weather.
Me and Andy were walking around Porto last night with our pink hotel brollies, hand in hand, out for dinner.
That's lovely.
Great fun. It was nice.
Pink's your colour, man.
I think so.
I think you guys make a cute couple, but Keith will be jealous.
I was going to say, don't tell Keith though, Dan. He'd be gutted at that.
Pink's definitely his colour.
Aye. we'll keep it between us. I understand this afternoon, guys, you've been hearing from the Porto manager, Francisco Farioli, with a couple of revelations about Rangers.
Really impressive guy, Dan. I must admit, that's the first time I've spoken to him. Did his whole press conference in English for a start, which was a boost for us turning up. But no, really impressive guy. Spoke so well, really complimentary about Rangers. But as you say, also revealed that he's spoken to the club twice about becoming their manager 5 years ago. I think I got the impression he thought he was pretty close to getting the job before Giovanni Van Bronckhorst.
Name check Ross Wilson as well.
Yeah, before Van Bronckhorst got the gig. And again, in the summer, before Russell Martin was appointed, I think it was written at the time, he probably reported on it, that Rangers had held talks with him as well. So, no, he knows everything about the club. He knows everything about the start Danny Rowe's made and the qualities he's got as a manager. So it was really complimentary and refused to rule out potentially being Rangers manager one day in the future, even though he's just signed a new deal with Porto. He's got on top of the league, absolutely flying. So it's not going to happen anytime soon, especially with Danny Rowe obviously doing well at Rangers as well. But no, a really impressive guy. And someone you can see why Rangers would maybe have gone for.
He clearly also respects the club. He spoke about the fact that the tradition is here, that the stature it has, not just in UK football but in European football. So clearly there was an appeal there for him. For whatever reason, it didn't quite work out either time. But looking at the stature of clubs he's been at, Ajax, Nice, obviously now Porto, the guy that obviously can handle working in big environments. So we'll see what happens with Danny Rowe. But don't be surprised if we hear the name of Francisco Farioli again further down the line.
Inevitably, guys, I need you to pick your brains on transfers. The big news in the last 24 hours is regarding Rangers players potentially going out of the club. I mean, the news about Chermiti and Gassama. First of all, how much truth in it is there? Are they concrete bids? And I mean, £23 million potentially for both of them. That's a lot of money.
Certainly, from what we've been told by the club, there were bids. I think the club were a wee bit surprised that Chermiti won. The news has come out, obviously late last night. It came out when it did. I think it's at least 3, 4, maybe 5 days ago that the actual bid came in. The news is only leaked latterly, as I say, in the last 24 hours. But they're in no mood to sell. They don't need to sell financially. They're under no pressure. And crucially, Danny Rowe believes that Yusuf Chermiti is a major part of his plans. I think you saw at the weekend without him there that Rangers lack a physicality, a presence at the top end of the pitch. And then with Gassama, again, I think Scott was just speaking earlier there about him. I think he is a player that frustrates at times. He is a bit of an enigma, but I think when he can get him playing his left-hand side, which is definitely his best position, obviously with the addition of Andrew Wilson, means that there's more scope for Gassama to go back over the left. I think, again, as you saw at the weekend, get him cutting in off that left-hand side onto his right foot, whipping shots towards the back post. It can be a proper threat for this Rangers team. So, I don't think they feel that they need to sell. Certainly no financial pressure with the American ownership now. They've got plenty of money to spend, so they are able to stand firm in the face of these. And I suppose as well, they'll think if these two guys can help Rangers win a title this season, then their value is only going to go up come the summer.
I was just about to say, Dan, that's what it shows, is that Rangers are embroiled in a title race and a potential Champions League qualification if everything goes to plan for them. That's why they're no rush to sell two of their key players. Whatever you might think of Gassama or Chermiti, two of them are first picks for Rangers at the moment, and certainly have been key players in the last, certainly since Danny Rowe took over. So, I mean, listen, it is interesting. These are huge, seem to be huge bids for players, but especially Chermiti, when you think, I says to Andy earlier, I mean, if you'd have said to Rangers fans 6 weeks ago, you've got an offer in for Chermiti for 3 million, never mind 13. No. They're probably taking it and just taking the hit because his goal scoring return has been so disappointing up to this point. However, what I would say from him is he has improved in the last few months under Danny Rowe. His hold-up plays a lot better. I think he's adapting to Scottish football a lot more. The 2 Old Firm goals undoubtedly helped and buy him a bit of time, a bit of credit in the bank with the Rangers fans. So, as I say, as Andy says, they're under no pressure to sell, and they're going to try and keep hold of these players for a proper go at this title.
In terms of incoming guys, we've reported on Record Sport Online about Hansa Rostock striker Ryan McDermott. What can you tell us about him?
Again, he's somebody that the club like. He's been on a list of targets. I think he's somebody that the club like. I'm not so sure that they've got to the point yet where they're making formal offers. I think it's still at the negotiation stage of what kind of money it's going to take to get him out of Rostock. I think there's obviously in the German third division. They're looking to get out of that, get promotion. They're not going to sell unless they can get a replacement in. So I think that's part of the hold up, that until they can get somebody else to take his Nadiri's place, and he's not going to be going anywhere. But as you say, with 2-3 days left in the transfer window, there's every chance there could be some movement. But he is certainly somebody that Rangers are looking at.
What is there any whispers about any other incomings, guys? Any other positions you think?
In terms of positions, I think most people expect him to go for a midfielder, Daniel, but the kind of word I'm hearing is it's no a certainty that he'll be a midfielder. Danny Rowe's spoken about it because obviously Conor Barron's injury, but I do think an attacking player is the priority for Danny Rowe before the window closes. They've been linked to a couple of midfielders, and if they could do something, then they might try and do it. I say Barron's injury has almost forced them into that, but I do think the priority is an attacker, whether that's Nadiri or someone else. On Nadiri, I said to Andy earlier, I'm quite surprised at his profile, in terms of them going for someone like that, because Danny Rowe said he was looking for an attacker to play right across the front line. I don't think Nadiri's that type. I think he's a proper centre forward, like Isham or a Majowski, so I'm slightly surprised by that, and it wouldn't shock me if it's not him, and it might be someone else. Dare I say it? I know it's been mentioned, Rangers and Celtic looking at Masfinisi. I think someone like that would probably be more suited to Rangers at this stage of the season in terms of the kind of make-up with their squad and their striking options.
And before I let you go, guys, on the actual game tomorrow night, I know in the face of it, Rangers are obviously out of the competition, but still a lot to play for, coefficient points. Still a big game.
Yeah, it is. Listen, they're coming against a Porto side that have played 30 games this season, only been beaten twice. Is it 18 out of 19 wins domestically? So listen, they're playing against a proper side. Again, Scott and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. It's a difficult one for Danny Rowe because clearly the big game is Hibs on Sunday, but he can't go in and afford to have a 4, 5, 6 goal drubbing and have that affect confidence. They're on a roll right now. They want to keep that going. They want to keep that momentum surging into the game at Easter Road, so they can go and really attack that one and really cement their place in the title race. But it's not going to be easy tomorrow night. I think it's a difficult one for the manager. Just he's limited by the players he's got available in the UEFA squad, so he can't go and bring in a total starting lineup of second stringers of fringe men. He'll have to go with one or two of his senior players, and that won't be comfortable for him, given, as I say, what's coming at the weekend. But it's a game that Rangers, I think they just want to go out, get it over and done with without suffering any kind of major damage, whether it be that injuries or a tonking on the part.
Guys, it's an absolute pleasure having you in the hotline live as ever. I hope that building work calms down for you a little bit later on, and hope it's a cracker for you tomorrow night.
Cheers, Daniel.
James in the comments, he says Scott and Andy in the set of Wiedersehen pit. It was a bit manic, that building work behind them, but I
thought that was something vibrating in Scotty's luggage.
Listen, moving on. Mark says in the comments,
well, they're obviously having a lovely romantic time together, the two of them. Good on them.
I knew you'd be jealous, Keith. Don't let it go. Do you know what I mean? You've got me. I'll always be loyal. Don't worry. Mark says we're late on tomorrow, lads. We are indeed. We're on tomorrow night, 10 p.m. after the Europa League games between Celtic and Utrecht and Porto and Rangers. I know you like your late night shows, Keith.
Oh yeah, love them.
We will be back then, but I think for Wednesday's show, that brings us to the end. Thanks very much for all the comments as ever, and thanks for watching at home. Keith, I'll see you in the pyjamas tomorrow.
Pyjama party time, Dan.
Can't wait. Hope you can join
pyjama nights.
Hope you can join us then. Thanks for watching.